Welcome to this new series on CXO transitions. During this series, I'll be speaking to 6 top leaders, talk about their journeys, especially the transition points, the significant moments when they made a change either in their company or there was a role change within the existing organization. And we'll dwell extensively on these transitions. What were their doubts? What kind of support did they seek from others? How did they resolve the clarity issues? How did they make the move? And then how was it for them thereafter in the initial journey after that particular transition? So I'm very pleased to introduce to you Mr. Sethu Raman. Welcome to this episode, Sethu.
Thank you.
Glad
Thank you
to
very
have you. Glad to have you with us. I'm sure my CXO listeners will get a lot of value from this discussion. So, viewers, just to brief you about Sethu's background. He initially worked in India in the luggage industry. Then he moved abroad. He joined Shell and worked in various sales, marketing, and support roles like business excellence. And then also moved into P&L roles. So that's extremely rich and varied exposure he has. So Sethu, can you give our viewers a helicopter view of your 35-year-long journey, including 4 major transitions?
Sure, I will do that. Thanks, Ramesh. Thanks for having me over on this conversation of CXO transitions. As you explained already, I've had a long career in different roles and different regions, and we will talk about that. But I would see transitions, key transitions for me would be, firstly, working in different countries and cultures. So that where you're adapting to a different situation. So that's one. Second one, different roles demand different skills from you. So transitioning and adapting to those demands is another one. Third one also is the fact that you're oscillating between roles of influence and roles of leadership when it comes to large roles at a regional global level. So understanding that and adapting to them. And of course, the more recent one being I've moved from an executive leadership role to that of an entrepreneur. So that I would see as the last of the recent transitions at a very high level, if I were to describe.
So Sethu, in the initial part of your career, you were in India, working in a couple of companies, 2 or 3 companies. And then this move happened, you moved to Oman. So how did it happen? What were the kind of doubts did you have at that point of time? How did you overcome those doubts?
When I look back at that role, I was not ready for that role because mentally I was not prepared to move out of India. I was in a role that was of a national sales ahead, and things were going well. India was a hot market, continues to be a hot market now, but it was a hot market then. And I wasn't very sure, but a good conversation with some of my line managers helped me understand why I should move. I was moving into a very large operations of Shell, and they had reasons why they wanted my skill set. So I did accept that role. And yes, it wasn't easy. It was a lot of challenges for me both. I was just about married at that point in time, and we were not very sure, both as husband and wife, that we wanted that change. But more importantly, there were plenty of self-doubts. I've worked in a market like India and I've had a successful run, but I had not mentally transitioned into another function or at a different country with a different team, fixing a problem that was in the market. That was not the mindset. It was all about grow, which is where India was. This is about arresting the decline and then growing. So it was a very different experience for me. So the fear of getting it wrong was the devil in my head, because what if I fail? I would let down an entire organization, a whole lot of people who had the faith in me. I think that was a big challenge, besides the personal challenges, of course, in terms of understanding cultures, people, adapting to the market.
How did you overcome those fears that you had and decided to make a move abroad?
Fortunately, I've had great colleagues and friends. They've always helped me. So good conversations with them, trying to find out what was good and what wasn't. That helped substantially. And I thought that experience that I would gain would give me a catapult into next potential roles. So that helped. Besides that, when I went into the market and I actually had a feel for what it is and what I had to do, it felt a bit inspired for me to say, listen, if I can do this, I won't have that situation where I have to prove to somebody that I cannot fix these challenges, including myself.
How old were you at that
time? I was in my 30s, just about entering 30, early 30s. Okay. And I wasn't sure on how I would perform in an international arena with a completely new team. Hence, it took me a little bit of time. So that pressure of that 3 to 6 months early was very positive, is how I would see it. And it turned out to be one of the best decisions probably I ever took.
So, Sethu, what role did you take up with Shell in Oman, and how did it turn out in the initial years?
When I went in there, I was the national sales head in India. I went as the marketing head for Shell in Oman. Shell in Oman had a market share of 40% over. We were talking 4% here. So it was a huge change in the way the brand is perceived. There were plenty of challenges in the route to market or in terms of brand presence and all of that. So that's what I was addressing. And initially, when I started as a marketing role, eventually I took over as the sales and marketing head for that business because of what we delivered. Business results were very good. We arrested the decline and we were able to grow substantially. And I hence got larger roles and responsibilities in the organization. The team and I received plenty of regional global recognitions because we were able to learn a lot more through that whole experience of route to market change as well. I had a lot of help from people who I consider as mentors and coaches, because in a global multinational, you're able to reach out to people, learn from their experiences on what not to do and what might work in the various countries. So when you reach out, you then realize people are a lot more willing to help you than you actually can take from them.
Yes, Sethu. So from Oman, I see that you moved to a global role, a regional part of the globe, and then you moved there. And when you moved there, what kind of changes, mental adjustments, what kind of new skills were required? How did your outlook change?
During this move, I was ready for change, unlike the previous move from India to Oman. In this case, I was looking for change because like most corporations, 3 to 4 years, you're moving on to a new role, finding something new for yourself, and you keep an eye for the roles that will excite you. So I was looking for a new business in a different country, different markets, because my learning curve was through the roof when I moved from India to Oman, and I didn't want to let go. That greed in me to learn a lot more was alive. They always say you grow mentally weaker if life is too comfortable. In Oman, it got comfortable in 3 to 4 years' time. We were delivering year-on-year results. So I was looking for roles, and this role I was always told it's the most difficult role. It will expose you because you are in a regional leadership. It's a role for influence. It's an individual contributor. When I was in the role, the doubts were back again. The butterflies were back in the stomach. Can you deliver? Can you do all of this?
Can you share what was that new role, global role?
Yeah. So this role is more, it was a regional role when I began that role. It was for Asia Pacific. It was in a new business. It was not in the business that I was exposed to before. When in a regional role, we have different countries, so many countries operating, they're all operating within their regulatory environment. But a lot of opportunities was being missed in terms of how we could do things better, because you are moving from a supply-driven market to a demand-driven market. So there were many things that we had to get right. And this business excellence role was all about helping leadership teams to raise the bar for how we were operating in each of those countries. And hence, I found it very exciting, something I'd never done before. I'd never even thought about it. But having said that, the very fact that you can work with such senior leaders would give me exposure to skills that I never dreamt of earlier. And hence, I picked that role, despite getting the advice on, you might have more things to go wrong. But I was always a challenger, and this role required, in the very first state, they mentioned that they wanted a challenger profile.
Yeah. So where did you move to, Sethu?
From Oman, I moved from Oman to Singapore.
Singapore. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Lovely. And how long you were in that role? Business excellence role?
I was in the business excellence roles for slightly more than 5 years, closing 6 years. But it was 2 different roles. One was a regional role, one was a global role. So I had transitioned in the interim to a global role as well during that time.
Okay. Okay. So dear viewers, so this concludes the first part of my conversation with Sethu Raman, founder CEO of BeWise, an education-based startup operating from Bangalore. So I will see you soon with more questions for Sethu Raman to explore his rich learnings and insights. Thank you so much. Dear viewers, if you found value in this video, support us by clicking the like button, share it with your colleagues, and press the bell icon to subscribe to my channel. I eagerly await your thoughts on this video in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.